Entombed Valley is the map for Avenge against Bumblebee, the third game. At the bottom left in the red color, starting for Team Xenix, we have Avenge. And his opponent, starting to the top left in the blue colors, is none other than the player for Team Prime. It is Bumblebee, formerly known as Terius. And the gods of StarCraft certainly smiled upon Avenge when those maps were picked, because now we have another map that is certainly pretty good for Protoss against Zerg. We have Entombed Valley. And what we usually see on Entombed Valley is that the Protoss player is trying to get those 3 bases. We already have the pylon at the bottom of the ramp, and he will start out with the first base. You only have to defend this huge ramp at the front in order to defend this base. After that, you can kill the rocks in the back. Try to set up a second wall in over here. The second ramp, you take your third, and then a Protoss player is able to secure 3 bases kind of safely. And from 3 bases, you can't just get every single tag that you want to. You can get a lot of tags, and you can just mass this 200 supply army that you are really comfortable with. And from the third base, it's also pretty common just to move out down the ramp to the right, and then you will have another 4th base. And what proved to be really strong for Zerg on this map is obviously the Brute Lord tech. We've seen a couple of games where Zerg players try to make good use of Ultralisks, but let's face it, Ultralisks are not the best unit. There are a couple of maps where they are pretty strong, and some things you can use them for. If you rely on a really ground-heavy army on this map, then you can definitely get an Ultralisk or 2 in order to crush down the force fields of your opponent. But if truth be told, a Zerg player has to admit that Ultras kind of suck. They are not that strong, especially when they are on only small pathways where they just block each other. And this is what we usually see at the 4th base. So as soon as there's one nexus and a couple of buildings, there's only a very limited area where Ultralisks can attack, and this is quite a huge problem to most Zerg players. So we usually see the Brute Lord tech, and a Terran, sorry, not Terran, but a Protoss player is getting the mothership in order to use the Vortex against it. That's something that's going on in the late game, but maybe we should focus a little bit more on the early game right now, because what we are seeing is Avenge with another pylon block. That's the one thing that he was not able to do on the last map on Daybreak, when Bumblebee took the hatch first, and here we have the pylon being attacked. So this time it's the usual play. It's the pool gasless expand that we see for Bumblebee. He has the queen ready, and yeah, obviously also the Nexus is being built right now. Let's see how this game is going to unfold. I'm actually pretty excited about it, because I want to see what Bumblebee has up its sleeve in order to take on Avenge. It's a map that is in favor, a little bit in favor of Protoss, but it's going to be pretty interesting to see what Bumblebee decides to do, and also what his opponent decides to do. As I said, motherships are not uncommon on Entombed Valley. It's usually the follow-up for every Protoss player upon reaching 3 bases, trying and getting his 4th. But there are obviously also a lot of strategies that he can use in order to be a little bit more aggressive in the mid-game. We've even seen one match, I think I was casting with Wolf at this point, when we saw drop play executed by the Zerg player. Just a little bit of drops in regards to roach drops, but it did not really work all that well. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Even a play with the Nidus network is not unheard of, but obviously Nidus play is usually a little bit all-inish. It's quite hard to transition out of it, and you just rely too much on your ability to hide one of the Nidus. If you don't go for this Hydralisk all-in, where you don't mind putting the Nidus network in front of your opponent's base, you don't really rely on it being inside the main base of your opponent, but you just try to time your Hydra push and the Nidus network so that you can take down your opponent's wall in. But that's something that we won't see on this game. I would be really surprised if Bumblebee would go for the strategy, because it's just really hard to execute. If you attack up a ramp, it's even harder. So that's something that we usually see on maps like Talarim Altar, for example. Once again, the Stargate, interestingly enough. So the Bane bases, the layout of the map is a little bit in favor of the Stargate players. The expansions are pretty close together, so you can try to attack your opponent's expo. And we have a couple of Zerglings trying to take on the forces of Avenge, but well, they don't really succeed. Speed is not done just yet. The first few roaches are being built, and we don't have the +1 attack upgrade built just yet. So let's see what we are going to see with the Stargate. What is he actually trying to do? Is he going for the Void Ray right away, or does he just try to be a little bit of a nuisance with the Phoenixes? No, he's going for the Void Ray and is trying to hide it. The Void Ray will obviously also help him to defend his wall, and that's one thing that we can be for sure. And wow, he's getting 2 additional cannons. He's getting 2 additional cannons at the same time. Let's have a quick look into the main base of Bumblebee. Bumblebee is certainly going for some kind of an all-in strategy right now. He does only have 24 harvesters against 34, and that's very, very well. That's just because he doesn't. He knows that on this map it's going to be hard for him to succeed. And the cannons are being attacked. The Void Ray will help quite a lot. There are already 3 cannons, so I have to give it to Avenge. Very nice defense play by him so far. Another force fields hits the gap, and there's already another sentry. He has no additional force fields, but there are only Zerglings left, and this is GG. So while we were talking about the late game and about potential just follow-ups, we have the game ending after just a couple of minutes as Bumblebee realizes that Entombed Valley is not the best map for ZVP. He tries to go for some kind of all-in, and Avenge spots it, shuts it down with 3 cannons and with a Void Ray follow-up. Very well played by Avenge, and he succeeds with a 2-1 against Bumblebee and therefore advances in Code 8.